This is Daily Armenia, CivilNet's daily news digest. Here's what's making headlines in Armenia today. During today's session, the Armenian government extended key social assistance programs for forcibly displaced families from Nagorno-Karabakh by 2 months, responding to demands from protesters who had camped in central Yerevan. According to the official draft decision, the extension will apply not only to families already covered by the targeted programs, but also to other displaced persons outside the initial focus groups. The government explained that additional time is needed to finalize proposals for improving the aid mechanisms, and therefore the existing support will remain in place for now. A related program offering additional support to the most vulnerable will also be extended by 2 months. The government stressed that the extension will not cause a significant increase or decrease in state budget revenues or expenditures. Yesterday, members of the Council for the Protection of the Rights of Artsakh Armenians announced that protesters in Yerevan's Freedom Square would take down their tent and relocate it to the permanent office of the Artsakh representation. Council member Nushdeh Iskandarian said that they had met with a representative from Deputy Prime Minister Tigran Khachatarian's office, who confirmed the government would extend the aid program and had accepted other key demands. The European Union remains engaged in supporting peace and regional cooperation in the South Caucasus, particularly in the normalization process between Armenia and Azerbaijan. European Commission Vice President Kaja Kallas said in a written statement published by the Parliamentary Assembly of the Council of Europe. Kallas was responding to questions from Emanuel Fracos, a Greek MEP from the European Conservatives and Reformist Group, who raised concerns about the EU's handling of Azerbaijan's rights record. Fracos questioned whether, during Kallas's visit to Baku last week, she had secured any commitments on the release of over 320 political prisoners, the repatriation of Armenian hostages, or the safe and dignified return of forcibly displaced Karabakh Armenians, in line with legally binding rulings of the International Court of Justice. He also challenged the EU's continued soft policy towards what he called the Aliyev regime. In her written reply, Kallas acknowledged growing EU concerns over Baku's escalating repression of journalists, activists, and opposition figures. She said that the EU has repeatedly called for the release of all individuals detained for exercising fundamental rights, and stressed that human rights and the rule of law remain central to EU-Azerbaijan relations. Amnesty International's annual global report, released yesterday, highlighted ongoing human rights concerns in Armenia, including restrictions on free speech and peaceful assembly, challenges faced by Nagorno-Karabakh refugees, and tensions with Azerbaijan. The report criticized Armenian police for using excessive force during anti-government protests last year, noting that 101 people were injured and nearly 100 detained, with no officers held accountable. Journalists were also targeted, with 14 injured and opposition activists facing libel charges. Amnesty also raised alarm over the government's January decision to greenlight the Amulsar gold mine, despite environmental concerns. Activists opposing the project face legal pressure and accusations of threatening national security. Discrimination against LGBT people and pressure on environmental defenders also persisted. On refugees, Amnesty said Armenia struggled to integrate more than 100,000 displaced Armenians from Nagorno-Karabakh follow Azerbaijan's takeover of the region. Their right to a safe return remains unmet, as Armenia hesitates to pursue international legal remedies amid hopes of a normalization deal with Baku. On a positive note, Amnesty praised recent domestic violence reforms, which expanded the definition of abuse and removed previous language focused on restoring family harmony, a provision criticized for potentially pressuring victims to remain in abusive relationships. The report also noted Armenia's continued shift toward the European Union and the United States, and its plan to exit the Russian-led CSTO, all while peace talks with Azerbaijan remained fraught and border clashes sporadically flared. Armenia's Justice Minister, Srbuhi Galyan, told state news agency Armenpress yesterday that the government plans to introduce fixed deadlines for court cases, tailored to their complexity. The goal is to reduce judicial backlog and put an end to the years-long delays that have plagued the legal system. At a cabinet meeting today, Prime Minister Nikol Pashinyan delivered a sharp message against government inaction in various sectors. If there were a world championship for the delaying of implementation of adopted decisions, we'd take first place with an absolute world record and with all the medals, he said. According to Pashinyan, even long-discussed strategic decisions get repeatedly postponed with excuses tied to holidays and seasons. No more delays, absolutely none. Any minister who suggests postponement should instead submit their resignation, he warned, adding that problems must be addressed before decisions are made, not afterward. His remarks come as several high-profile criminal cases, including those against former presidents Robert Kocharyan and Serge Sargsyan, remain unresolved, with court sentences still pending years after trials began. The last time Pashinyan made a similar public ultimatum was in November, which was followed by a wave of high-level resignations. The Justice and Interior Ministers, as well as the heads of the Investigative Committee and the State Revenue Committee, among others, were all replaced in a sweeping shake-up. You can also read our article covering the relations between Armenia and China. While Beijing is interested in peace in the South Caucasus, seeing the region as an important transport route connecting it with Europe, its cooperation with Armenia remains limited, especially compared to its links with Georgia and Azerbaijan. Read the full article via the link in the video description. And as always, please follow CivilNet for the latest news and independent reporting from our contributors on the ground here in Armenia.